I wasn't expecting to make this. There's a something of a greater proportion happening today, but I was, as I often am, in thought earlier and reflecting on this year and all of its various experiences with the opposite sex when it comes to romantic interest. And I came to an epiphany. I can think of not one, not two, not three, not four, but five instances with a different female in which one of those females, when I proposed to begin trying to date, stated some view that was based around their lack of willingness to go out and try to do anything that they weren't used to. So, for example, there was one earlier this year who had stated that she was trying to get with some male in her from her past that had turned her down or had ended their relationship. And I'd actually had something of an advisor that had told me to, because I was in the practice of oftentimes when being asked in beginning dialogues, "How are you?" I would say, "Oh, hanging in there. I'm trudging along," and so I would go, "I'm great. I'm good," and these little subtle things that they told me to try implementing. Um, Her approach at one point was to go and say that she believed the majority of the males that had tried to speak to her were just seeking sex, which in my case wouldn't make sense because why would I, if I were truly seeking that, try to appeal to a person who's countries and countries away when I could easily go and do that over here, but whatever. The logic was lost. So when she was going over the various reasons for why this wouldn't work out, I told her, these are all things that you're predicting will happen. They're not based on any fact. They're not, they might be slanted around some event that in the past that's led you to think this, but there's no surefire way of knowing this won't work out. Okay, Broad Vulture says women seem are mostly attracted to guys that already have girlfriends. Okay, VVS says I've been through too much BS this year. Legendary Winner says sup back to him. Um, well, Bro Vulture, the point I'm trying to make here is that you often get told that many males, for their lack of confidence, are unable to get females. I had a user that came on here and said my lack of confidence was the reason for that. But what do you call it when there are multiple females that you can recall or think of that appear to be lacking in confidence? I told you the story of a couple of days ago of the female that claimed to like shy guys and proceeded to talk about how she didn't think this could work because what would this person say and how would we get around this and this and that, and I offered many solutions of which she refused to take. What else can I do in an instance where a person says, "Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. No, yeah." They stick their fingers in their ears and go, "No, no, 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 no." That's the exact reaction that you get most of the time. So let me respond to nerd Bama Rich. Do you ever lack confidence? Of course, there are days where I feel down. There are days where I feel um, aggravated by the great stressors of life. And really, unfortunately, as I've come to realize, the biggest area for me in which confidence has been lacked in um, is in relation to dating. I've looked at every single other thing in my life and just thought I could do it at some point over the course of just interactions with various people in respective fields. Um, and when you ask that question, it goes back to this idea of yes, you've been bothered by things, but not so much to where you just throw your hands up and say, "Oh, this can never happen." And I felt that way many times. Okay, Nurbama Rich says, "I noticed I'm not paying attention to females any attention. That's when they pay the most attention. Is that weird to you?" Yeah, and it doesn't make sense when you think of, I don't know what relationships the rest of you have seen, but in the ones that I've seen of people that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years, there are always, or there seems to be this recurring theme of two people that go, "Oh, I love you. Oh, I can't imagine being away from you. There's this tendency to just cling together. And you're told in trying to approach the females of today to be the reverse of that. Be mysterious. Don't speak to them for 2 or 3 days. Don't talk every day. Don't send a message every every 40 hours. And it gets to this thing of where does that eventual point of I actually want to be around the person instead of trying to sneak around and play Mysterio actually come into play. Okay, Broad Vulture says, I don't think it more or less shy, but they are mysterious, which makes it fun for them. Um, Anthony Turner says women can be socially awkward and will still have suitors waiting to talk to them in droves. Guys simply can't afford to be shy or else be looked at as a creep. VVS says because you have to stand out from all the other options she has. Sadly, Nerd Bama Rich says I totally agree. I'm assuming what I said, maybe not. Reluctant Dragon says yeah. Crow cousin brothers and sisters. No, I don't know about that, but um, I'm trying to get this to move this back to what the title was and give the examples I was talking about. So in the case of one female that I was speaking about in the last time I talked about this topic, when I wrote out the remarks and had my little speech I was giving, I was doing this. One of them stated that okay, so our last message before she did this was, we're getting ready to speak over a call. That was our last message. Um, okay, that was the last message before I woke up a couple of days later and got her resignation letter talking about, I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think this is going to fly. And in the course of getting her messages, one of them prior to this was how and I'm not joking, I will, I don't necessarily like to screenshot and show stuff. I would take the name out, but she did state in that message that I was too good for her, which, whenever we enter that type of logic, we automatically defeat ourselves because too good in what category? Are you saying I'm smarter than you? Are you saying I look better than you? I don't. And even if I did, how does that automatically make me too good for the person that I myself think is on my level or that I am interested in? Yeah, D. Almadia, Fear of Success. Okay, Bro Vulture says, do you have any friends that are girls and you're not interested in? There are a couple. Um, their Bama Rich says exactly, and then Reluctant Dragon says, yep, ultimate defeat, don't retreat. I swear to you, there is a female that confirmed she had been in multiple relationships, and in the course of telling me that she thought I was attractive physically and mentally, we've already heard this line repeated several times. Proceeded to cite that because my zodiac sign of Capricorn was not the same as hers, supposedly that was an indicator that this would not turn out, and one of the guys in the past had this too. I thought to myself, why don't you just tell me that you know, me wearing a size 13 is too much. Maybe that me being 6'2" is too tall. Maybe you can tell me that me being O blood type is, not of your standard. How about me being left-handed? Is that too familiar of these past males? This is what destroys the possibility of any type of actual uh, romantic success. You have two people that acknowledge that they find the other attractive, and one of them just runs for the hills when the male reciprocates. Okay, Nerdbama says most women don't really want a good man until they've been dogged out by the bad ones, but for me, by then it's too late. Social media plays a big role in today's society, a huge one in today's society, especially in boosting people's egos. Okay, Reluctant Dragon says, damn, you got old blood and you left hand. Yep. Raw Vulture says, having friends of opposite sex will probably help you get better insight, if not observe how they think. Well, here's the thing. The one I stated earlier that was, pining for this male that things didn't work out in the past with, but for whatever reason it made sense to her to go back to him. She did state that I was her friend prior to my approaching of her and subsequent rejection. At which point I had no reason to try appealing to her anymore. What I'm trying to convey is that I have spoken with females in the past about this that I was not, I guess, at the moment romantically into. And she did the same thing a lot of them do, where and I want to ask you this if you've ever noticed this. You'll have females that are around your age or just to where dating is a possibility tell you that you're a good guy. I don't get why these women don't like you, and then they won't even they will rise you up and make you seem as if you're really good, but do nothing to garner or bring up the possibility of trying to do something with you, even if they're single themselves. I want to know if that's also been the case because when I spoke to this one for the first time and we had our, I guess, lengthy discussion, she stated she didn't get why I had such a difficult time with this. And apparently at no point in her mind did it ever register, hey, if you seemingly are, think this person is all right, then why not try something? But again, I think it's more so, and they have this thing where if you call them liars, then you get upset. But what else can I think if you're telling me it's the equivalent of me saying, I think this person has really good positions, they're the best out of the field, and then the actual election comes, and I don't vote for them. Wouldn't that appear to be a statement that I didn't truly believe in if I couldn't take the time to go and vote for them? If I say that, I don't know, some album is great, it's terrific, all the songs are wonderful, I hear all of them on YouTube first, and I don't go out and buy the actual album, how good did I think those songs were? Oh, here we go with this. Oh my God. And I'm gonna have to dismantle this claim and really just throw this out the window. Nerd Bama Rich says, which ethnicity of women do you think find you most appealing? The majority of ones I have been accepted by have been African American. The majority of ones who have accepted me and then ran for the hills have been African American as well, so, or black, or whichever term you would use. Um, and I keep saying I don't think it's a race thing because I have had the same experiences with other groups. I don't want to pin this on one. Anthony Turner says, I've had this happen many times when I was 17. The girls were quick to give advice and tips, but wouldn't want to date me because I was too nice. Well, that's kind of the thing with what annoys me. I had one person on one video comment, just do A, B, C, and D and be a gentleman because we are devoid of those. But then every time I get on here and I hear from some male about their experiences with females, it's always the same narrative of being nice didn't work, being good didn't fly, being a person that respected the time and patience of the other person just didn't cut it. And it's not. I don't think it's that way in terms. So, for example, if you have a nice female who the male finds attractive, I don't believe she's going to have to worry about, oh, is he going to think I'm too nice? Am I going to have to show my assertiveness at one point? I don't buy it. I don't think they have to go through that same jumping of multiple layered hoops that you might find some males having to do more often than not. Okay, Nerd Bama says, women claim they want you to be yourself, but in reality they want you to be who they want you to be. Yep. And people wondering why birth rates are dropping. VVS says that. Nerd Bama says, I'd rather be alone than to play a role. Brace Inc. says, when people say be yourself, it means not trying to pander at all. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I've in the past tried to, assume these roles that are designated as a successful romancier, and it gets to a point where I ask myself, even if if this works to the point where I get a relationship with the female I'm doing this to what extent will it actually benefit me in the long run? I can't play this character forever. That can last weeks, a month, maybe even a year, but it can't stick up for an entire lifetime. Can't make someone like you, and I've come to that reality. Envoy says, females don't need confidence when it comes to attracting me. That's a trait more geared for men to express. Anthony says, but sometimes you have to act differently to get what you want when I'm having a job. Okay, well, I'm not saying you can't act differently. What I'm conveying to you is that when you're seeking to do something, whether it's applying for some position, or I don't know, playing a character in a film. You're not always going to be, like look at actors. They go and they play characters in movies. They film for a couple of months, and that's generally it. And those are still not all day, every day, or for lifetimes. Not playing that character forever. Um, and that's the thing where people just don't seem to get where it's hard to try and forever assume this role of being the male that is wanted of you to be by these by some of the females that have stated, trying to change who you are for the hopes of getting someone. Nurbama says exactly. Never play a character because it will become exhausting. Pretend to be someone that you aren't. Just get a female. Always be yourself. Um, and thank you for that. Rob Vulture says being nice in this day and age signifies something way different from back in the days. Nice guys are not known for just looking for sex from girls and then being after being denied. You know, I don't know if that's because I don't feel I'm playing a character at this point. I genuinely am bothered by a continuous struggle with having to solicit female interest. And I'm not only bothered by that, but I'm also frustrated by having some claim that they're interested only for them to backpedal or say, "Oh, no, 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 I didn't mean it that way. Oh, I didn't mean it that." It's annoying, and I've gotten to a point where almost anytime I hear that there is this thing where you have to balance between being very optimistic and thinking, "Yay, it's finally over," to um, just becoming disillusioned and thinking, "Oh, well, it's going to end up this way anyway." And there are those who have suggested, "Oh, because you've spoken about this uh, extensively, then somehow this has downplayed your chances of getting one or of appearing to be confident." My problem with that is you're already Bracing asked how many times. I'd estimate dozens. I at one point counted into the 30s. But the point I'm making to you is that doing this, in my view, has not changed what has happened other than allow me to express in a constructive manner and warn those who are going through the same issue of repeating many of the same experiences I've had. Okay, Nurbam says, I've been alone so long that solitude has become my girlfriend. It's going to be rather hard for anyone on this earth to replace me because that's something that has never hurt me. At least you go through. I wish I'd get. At least you try though. Yeah, Envoy. Can you understand why I am not trying to appear overly optimistic about this? I'm still an idealist at heart, but we have to be pragmatic. And even if one doesn't believe me about that number, I can still. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't have receipts of every time someone said no, but I can assure you it's over 30. Turner says maybe be outcome independent. I try not to worry about how a situation will turn out. I just try to have fun. I tried to do the same thing for years. Um, you're not exactly speaking to someone who's just getting into doing this. So a lot of that advice that's left on this stuff always tends to be a rehash of what someone else has said, and the person who's writing it a lot of times thinks that they are actually helping. And maybe that would be helpful if it was the first time I heard it, but some of these lines, "Oh, just go and change this about your appearance, go and change this about your personality." These are all things I've aimed to do, and they don't really persist in actually amending anything. I've had periods where I don't approach, I've had periods where I do approach, and they've both ended up the same. Envoy says, I get it, I haven't been rejected 30 times. May I ask, is there a link you can make through all these rejections? Have you or the girl always acted in a certain manner? Typically, there starts a dialogue that lasts for about a couple of days to weeks to months. It used to last to months, but I kind of got into this thing where I said, uh, I'm not gonna live forever, so I'll typically tell them after a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes days. And at that point, they'll say no. Move on to the next one. Uh, one thing that also is linked is them saying yes the first time and then backtracking. Okay, Nerd Bama says, do you go places intentionally looking for women or do you just let things flow? Sometimes I go places intentionally looking, sometimes just walk around. It depends. Bro Vulture says, okay. Brace Inc. says, Bro Vulture really had the best advice and work for me, and it's having a good girl, platonic friend who's trustful and shares every experience with him. I actually asked for help from 6 girls. Bro Vulture says, letting things flow usually works better for me. I assume if you're a player, the former works just as well. Envoy says, okay, I see. So you do actively ask girls? Yeah, I've done that. No, I did that in the past. All the ones I've described to you, those 5 the 3 that were spoken about in that last video, all had the same commonality rather, of I should just say the commonality of approaching me. They came to me. That's why it didn't make sense. Like, how would you go up to someone? You know what I look like. You know what I sound like. They're familiar with this setup, and they still did the same act of, I'm gonna say yes at first, then backpedal. So, that's where the annoyance comes in. Okay, I don't know what Reluctant Dragon is speaking about. I think that some quotes are being expunged there. Envoy says, I've talked and they're good. What stuff do you talk about? I'm trying to answer one question at a time. I know this is going to be a press conference. Do you ever get feedback from women in your life? Yep. What stuff do you talk about with these girls that approach you? Anything up their day-to-day lives, hobbies, interests. There's a lot of them have been taking a political interest as of late. And I'll oftentimes supplement that. Turner says, wait a minute, the girls approached you but still were flaky? Yeah, 4 of them in the last 4 months, since September. Actually, no, I take that back, since the latter part of August. I didn't actually speak to that one until September. Okay, Reluctant Dragon says on everything, Envoy. Envoy says, do you try to build up sexual attraction through flirting, teasing? There's the problem with that is, I did it in the case of ones so with these ones that approach me, I tried to do that. In the case of the ones you start out with platonically, there's always a fear on my part that they're going to think you're trying to do something inappropriate, or they're going, you already know with this Me Too movement, you have to keep your words on a leash. Okay. Silent Thriller says, recently found a channel. Just treat women as lesser than because they are. Bro Vulture says, the way you said it sounds like you're giving them an interview. I don't think that's the case, because they, more often than not, they're asking me questions. I actually had one that said she preferred to hear me speak because it took the pressure off her in the call with me. So I don't know what else I'm supposed to do, but again, that doesn't fit the narrative that is being espoused with that comment. Okay, Nerdbam asked. Okay, yeah, that was last year to your question right there. Let's see here. Silent Thriller says, serious women are greater. I don't think they're greater. I try to treat people as equal, and they've been doing things I just don't understand anymore. Envoy says, flirting is used to test the waters, test women's interest. That's what I tried to do. Turner says, there's many great guys that struggle to find a woman that maintains interest. Oh yes, I'd concede that. Reluctant Dragon says, test the waters, don't drink. You guys pull out so many quotes that are just, just go in there. Go. Uh, okay, Bracing says not greater, not less, just equal. Yeah, it's basically. Uh, okay, Envoy asks, do you watch any YouTubers who give dating advice? I've tried to in the past with what was it, Zeus, and what's the one wing girl? I forgot what her name is. So I'm gonna have to get off here because I have some things to do, but I'll try later on to speak out again.